Hello and welcome to Tuesday night's NFL podcast, sponsored by Donkey's Steakhouse. Best steakhouse north of cheesesteaks. Oh my God, Donkey's cheesesteaks. Listen to me, steaks. Cheesesteaks, best cheesesteaks north of the Mississippi. They have 3 locations, Camden, Medford, and Mount Holly. So be joined. Get your cheese steak, not steak, your cheesesteak from Donkey's. Got it. Yay. Oh, and John's already here. So tonight we are without...
Can you be north of the Mississippi? Isn't that Canada?
No, north of the Mississippi.
Aren't they east of the Mississippi?
They're east of the Mississippi, but that's okay. We're not.
Okay, it's north. I'm in South Florida. Give me a break. Anything,
I know. All of y'all in Florida are geographically challenged. It's okay.
Exactly.
All we know, it's only water around there, so that's it.
They don't know. Anything north of that is Canada. Anything north of the Florida-Georgia line is Canada.
We know where Cuba is and the Bahamas and Jamaica. We know where that is.
The only thing I can say this week is raise your hand if your team won.
Hush up, Michelle.
See? Dana skipped out. She actually won this week. She would have been able to raise her hand, something that I haven't been able to do in 7 games.
Sonia, I haven't been able to do it all this season. But
exactly.
Yeah.
So tonight...
I gotta tell you, Sonia, just because my Browns tied your record of 0-16 didn't mean y'all need to set a new one at 0-17.
They know that I pulled for them. Let's do it. You might as well go perfect. Do it perfect.
Which opens a whole nother can of worms, Lisa. If someone goes 0-16 but loses week 17,
pop that champagne.
Pop the champagne.
You're still popping it?
Because what's the worst case scenario? You just get drunk and forget about it, right?
Right.
I didn't sure if you were going to make the next perfect season be 0-17 now, or if they could go 0-16 to start the year, if that would count. We don't have to worry about it because the Cardinals lost. Yeah, Cardinals lost, so we ain't got to worry about it this year. But I'm just saying.
I'm popping that champagne too, baby. And people are telling me, "Oh, you're ridiculous." All the millennials, you're ridiculous. Like, no, not. That's story. That's record breaking. So, and it's all we got right now. It's all we got.
That's right. Hang on to it.
Hang on to that.
Preach.
So one thing that we are going to talk about tonight is, of course, today was a trade deadline. So I'm just going to start us off with Kate because obviously the biggest trade was Von Miller. And you had something about injuries and stuff like that. So I'm going to let you have the floor on that one.
Listen, the only thing that Von Miller trade says to me, the fact that Denver's willing to pay $9 million of the $9.7 million he's owed this season is that Denver has given up on this year. You don't get rid of a player of that caliber for future draft picks and pay for him to hit the door. Something's going on. Denver has given up. The Rams had a scary defense before. Now they're absolutely, in my opinion, glad Dana's not here. They're the team to beat. They're the team to beat. It's defense wins championships, right? And that's instantly, they are now the team to beat for the rest of the season, especially when you're talking a defensive player of that caliber. It's not like a wide receiver or somebody who's got to learn an offensive scheme. The way he play, you just put him in and let him go. Just go get the ball. Go attack the quarterback. You know what I mean? He doesn't have there's not a big learning curve for he's ready to start this week.
Yeah.
And his numbers are going to go up because now do you double team Aaron Donald, or do you double team Von Miller? Because now offensive line's got a whole mess of problems to worry about for the rest of the year.
Yeah, they do.
What does that say about Denver? And John just put up a good tweet there about Vic. Michelle, do you think that this is him trying to get his defense? I mean, what is the thinking, do you think, with Vic?
Perhaps he just wants to get younger. I mean, it was like almost when Dallas got rid of DeMarcus Ware, and everybody kept saying, "Well, you're getting rid of your best player," and I'm like, "Are we winning with the best player? I mean, he is our best player, but what are we doing with him? So, what can we get for him if we're going to rebuild for the future?" And maybe, perhaps, that's what Vic is looking at. Von Miller is their best player, and that's probably the only person they had that trade and getting something for. So they got to look towards the future because they're not doing anything this year. But I'm giving him credit. That may not be what he's doing, but I'm just saying.
Yes,
what is the biggest position of need on the Denver Broncos football team right now?
Lisa's favorite position.
Quarterback.
Honestly,
So you just traded Von Miller. If you're looking to the future to get a whole bunch of draft picks that maybe you can package and move up. And this is one of the worst college quarterback classes I have ever seen. Who are you going after?
But maybe they're going after Deshaun. Maybe they're going after Deshaun.
They might.
Oh, and he's already not playing in Miami. We already know that's a whole thing. I'm just saying, I don't know that the price they got for him, they couldn't have gotten for him at the end of the season.
Well,
this is true. So early to get rid of him.
That's true.
But we also talked about Denver, Sonia, with Aaron Rodgers. Do you think that's,
I was about to say, that could be it, that they're just making room and for him to come there. And, I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But I don't think they're looking to the draft for a quarterback right now. Maybe they're looking for other positions. I mean, they really do they can pretty much take what they want. Or what? Like, they just have a lot of injuries. But they can still take what they want, I think, in the draft, defensively for sure. But, and if Aaron Rodgers gets there, then, it'll be fine.
And it could be that Vaughn is a distraction to him. Sometimes when you have Vaughn is the leader of the team, the leader of the defense, but he's a voice in that locker room. And maybe he's questioning a lot of things that's going on over there, which we are from our seats. So I can imagine what Vaughn is doing over there. So who knows?
Yeah, Sarah's on board. Yeah, Denver takes Rodgers.
Yeah, and I don't know. I wish I was more well versed in salary cap issues. Mm-hmm. While they're paying that $9 million, I don't know what he would have been due next year. And if you're looking at Rodgers, you're looking at paying, and I don't know what Denver's salary cap situation is. So that could play into it as well, depending on where they're sitting with that.
Yeah, because just let's face it, he's probably pretty much going to be able to pick kind of which teams are interested in and which ones he's going to go to. And pass rusher, staying on the pass rusher, we all knew that Melvin Ingram was unhappy with the Steelers. I mean, so they shipped him to the Chiefs for a 6th round. I was just like, a 6th round, Melvin Ingram. I kind of figured he's a better player than that. I'm just kind of a little perplexed at the 6th round. You think that's a fair trade?
See, you're in the same place I am, Lisa. You're thinking Melvin Ingram fantasy stats from 2 or 3 years ago.
All right. I'm thinking he's just not. I'm thinking he's not happy in Pittsburgh, so he's not playing to his full potential. He wants out, so he's just kind of lagging. So now he's going to the Chiefs, who, let's face it,
the whole team is lagging.
Yeah, but they're still there. But they're still going to be there. We all, you don't count them out. So it was just kind of weird on that trade. But it seemed like the pass rushers, with and the 49ers sent Charles, I don't even know, Ogumanu to the 49ers. The Texans, that was the only trade the Texans made, was they sent a defense, but another 6th round. So, I would have to say, honestly, I think the Von Miller trade was the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep.
I mean, the Rams are in Super Bowl or bust mode. And forgive me, Lions fans, but the first thing I thought, I was like, dang, Matthew Stafford glue all the way up. He glowed up.
I thought about you.
Is that the past tense of glowed up? He glue?
Yep, he glued up. But no, he's got an embarrassment of riches, and after coming from Detroit, and he obviously had a bunch of players and talent there, but wow, just for this, that's very good for him. Very good for him. So hopefully they're able to at least win a playoff game for him, and hopefully go deep, but at least win one game.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So, and like I said, I think that Von Miller, I thought instantly of Matt Stafford. I really did. I was like, who's a happy quarterback right now? I mean, that defense tacked, and the word instant. I mean, they're instant Super Bowl contenders now. Mm-hmm. So, and something we talked about, we'll switch subjects here a little bit. Something we talked about, and I think it was like last week, where Dane and I kind of talked about Derrick Henry and about running Derrick Henry until you get him injured. And I was just like, yeah, but I think you just keep running him because you're winning. injuries report. 2 huge injuries this week.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry for the Tennessee Titans, which, I mean, pretty much people are just writing them off now. It's like, okay, they're done.
Yeah, he's done for the year, and the
He's
Titans
done
are
for
done
the year. The Titans are going to be fighting for their lives every single game now. So, you agree with that? You think that changes the whole? Yeah.
I think it changes the balance of power. I mean, granted, it was the AFC South, so there really wasn't too much, but I think that they're no longer the front runners in the AFC South. I mean, I think that has to go aside
Open
from
for the Colts.
Yeah, I was about to say, but aside from that game the other day, but yeah, I think it goes to the Colts now. But I still don't see them making a lot of moves either.
So the other one was Jameson Winston for the Saints.
Yeah.
Now, this is interesting because this is going to open the door for the Cam Newton talk. So, not that Trevor Siemian didn't do a bad job. And I guess Taysom Hill's coming off the injury report next week, I believe.
I'm so over.
I think they're going to have to sign another quarterback. You guys think so? You think they're going to have to bring somebody else on?
But who are they going to sign? Who's out there? I mean,
Cam.
I mean,
Cam.
Yeah. I mean, but they got Simeon. I mean, they can get Cam. I mean, Cam is a bigger name. I don't know if production wise if it'll be any different, but I mean, they can try Cam. They have Taysom. He runs and throws a little. They got Simeon. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think Jameis was there, and Jameis it wasn't that Jameis was playing great. I just hated for him that this was his opportunity to show that he could still play. And, unfortunately he got hurt because I thought they were going to win that game anyway, but, and they did.
They've actually they can start Trevor and they can have Taysom back him up in case something happens to him. They're not, it's not like they got a rookie on the bench that doesn't have any experience. Hill's
right.
And
Sean Payton will know what to do. And they still have that guy in the backfield that can run the ball. So
I'm more interested to see what Jeremy McNichols does in Tennessee on the depth chart. He's the guy right behind Derrick Henry. So we'll find out real quick if that offensive line, a lot of people say your running back's only as good as your offensive line. And for years we saw Pittsburgh after the bus retired, plugged a bunch of different running backs in who were successful. I may take a flyer at him, trying to pick him up on waivers in a couple of my leagues, just to watch him for a couple weeks and see how he does.
But the thing is, he may be successful, but it's going to change the way defenses play them.
Yes.
Because I'm loading the box to stop Derrick Henry. I'm not doing that for this other guy. Now are you gonna load the box for this guy? Listen, I want whoever that quarterback is. I want Tannehill to beat me now. Can Tannehill do that? And can he do it consistently for the rest of the season?
I don't know what that Adrian Peterson thing was. He don't get 100 yards total the rest of the year.
He's a machine.
But when my Browns had both Chubb and Hunt go down, we had Dearness Johnson come in, who lit it up in that Thursday night game against Denver. So what you may see with this guy too is, to Michelle's point, they're not going to stack the box on him, and then he's going to break some loose, and then defenses are going to have to think about it a little bit. They're going to wait and see what he can do and just try to take all of Tannehill's other weapons away. Julio Jones is going to get a lot more coverage because there's going to be a lot more guys in the secondary that are willing to go after him and leave that space without worrying about. They don't have to sort of do that cheat thing where they worry about Derrick Henry. They can just concentrate on Julio. It's going to affect his numbers, I think.
I think so too.
He's got to get happy. It just doesn't seem like when you see Julio, I don't know if it's just taking him some time to get adjusted to that different offense. You played with Matt Ryan so long. Now you're playing with a Ryan Tannehill. It just, you expected so much more from him on my side of it. I thought he would come in and tear it up. Now I know he had the injury that he was dealing with a little bit, and then had some remarks. Him and the coach went back and forth about his toughness. So, you kind of I kind of wonder where Julio's mind is set, if he's, because like I said, he easily could, take front and center now because of Derrick Henry being out. Because I can't see Adrian. I just can't see Adrian Peterson taking the brunt of the load though, all game.
I don't either.
Well,
No.
I mean, I think if it's the line, and I don't think it's all the line, because it's not like Derrick Henry is running through wide open holes. I mean, he's getting hit and throwing a couple of people out of the way. So,
Yeah.
but Adrian Peterson can come in and get 100 yards maybe once or twice, but I mean, consistently, I don't know if he can do it, but I never doubt him, because I think he's the $6 million man. So I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
Now, one other thing, Kate, you wanted to talk about coaches, so I'm gonna let you take this one, because I'm interested to see what you're gonna say about some coaches.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at coaches with really, really bad records, and I guess I'm going to ask Sonia if there's any concerns in Detroit about her head coach. There's 2 or 3 that I think in the AFC are definitely on a hot seat, but I don't know. Y'all don't have a lot of weapons, so I don't know if it's his fault.
I don't exactly, and that's what I think. People are just kind of giving him a pass, if you will. I mean, granted, they are very frustrated, and sometimes they feel that he's in over his head. And like you said, he's got no talent, so it's kind of hard to coach that. And how do you coach that? So I don't think he's on a hot seat just yet. But I think, especially after the Rams game, when even though we knew that they were going to lose, that. He's going to get bitten at the knees, okay? They're going to bite him at the knees. But I think especially after the Rams game, when they did kind of open up the playbook and have, fun, if you will, I can see that they like him, fans like him. So I think his seat is kind of not warm at all. I don't think.
Good answer. Lisa, we're going to talk about Brian Flores now? Is this a quarterback problem or is this a coaching problem? We've got a couple teams with 1 win in the AFC, but Jacksonville's got a first year, Urban Meyer's in his first year there. Tully's in his first year in Houston. They're going to get a little leeway. I think, and maybe the difference with the Dolphins versus the Lions and some of these other teams is I think there were larger expectations on the Dolphins this year than that you'd be 1-7 at this point.
Absolutely.
Is Flores getting any heat for this yet?
Oh, it's a lot of heat down here right now. There's so much going on, especially with the Deshaun Watson thing. That's just a mess, and it's just continuing. And what I'm finding out, it's kind of hard, because we're finding that social media is taking over a lot of things and driving a lot of rumors and and the integrity of people is in play here, because reporters used to get paid off the newspapers or articles they sold. Now it's how many clicks you get. So you're just getting people just saying random sources said this, and John McClain, from the Houston Chronicle started all this. He started this off of a story he wrote like 6 months ago. All he did was just, since the trade deadline was coming up, he just put it back out there, and it just caused a whole firestorm. Now we have the lady's attorney coming out on social media today, which is ridiculous. One of my best friends is an attorney, and she said, I'm sorry, but if you are a self-respected attorney, you don't go on social media and post the stuff this guy's posting.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. And so, he's just in hot water. And, I said it a week ago, Ross isn't going to trade for this legal issue. No team under the right mind is going to trade for this. It's the bottom line. So Coach Flores has stood behind Tua. He always has since day one. It's just like, he's our quarterback. He's our quarterback. Yes, we're interested in Deshaun, but he's our quarterback. It's just gotten so blown out of proportion, because apparently now they're saying that Ross was going to pay the women to get Deshaun. So now we're in that whole battle. So it's, if I'm Flores, honestly, Kate, I don't know if I want to stay here.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know who's got the clicking going on their microphone. I feel like I got chipmunks in my ear. There's 2 other coaches I want to talk about. Probably Lisa. One of them is Mike Zimmer. One of them is Mike Zimmer in Minnesota. And I'm going to throw that out there so our friend John can write some comments about what he thinks about Mike Zimmer. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm done with the Mike Zimmer experiment. While he's typing away, what is going on with Ron Rivera and the Washington football team? Because that's a team that I actually thought might win that division, and they have 2 wins. And I don't know. I mean, I know everyone loves Riverboat Ron, and he had
I
fought
like him,
cancer
Kate.
and all of that.
I do.
But this team is really underperforming looking at that roster and where they should be. They should have more than 2 wins.
Well, I'm happy about their 2 wins, just to say that before I start saying anything. But it is a tragedy. Well, not really a tragedy. I mean, it's hard for me to speak on the Washington football team, but I actually
Someone not in your
it's a
division is a
tragedy already,
travesty.
but it's hard for her to speak.
I thought they would. I actually thought that, and I think you guys touched on this the last time we were all on the call, in that Dallas. I picked Dallas to win a division, but I absolutely didn't think that Dallas would be this far ahead, because usually our division is a little more competitive. And I thought that the Eagles and perhaps the Washington may be a little better, but I feel about 2020 season is that you couldn't really count it. Everybody seemed to be this and that, but it wasn't a real season. Again, we played games on Tuesday and Wednesday, so I don't even count. I'm like, what kind of season is this? Half the players, some players opted out. You didn't know when you were going to play. You couldn't practice. So yeah, I mean, the Washington quarterback situation, I think Heineken, I love to call him that, but he's playing pretty good. He's playing decent. And they have some parts going. The defense has slipped some. They're not being able to hold up the stick. But I just think 2020 was a fluke, and they're not quite there. So that's probably why Riverboat is not on the hot seat. I mean, you just gotta give them at least another year, because they got a new defensive coordinator. They had him last year. Last year didn't count. Now, in the same token, and we looked at Dallas with our coaching situation. Look how we looked last year compared to what we look like this year. Same people. We added a few draft picks who are really had a very good impact defensively for us. So things can change. I think from the coaching standpoint, the Panthers coach, they hate it. They don't like that coach here. I can tell you now. And I'm in Carolina, and I haven't found a Carolina fan yet that wants to keep their coach. And so they are very disappointed. And then you had personally, you had Teddy Bridgewater. You got rid of him to get Sam Darnold, and you start out 3-0, and now Darnold don't look like he can throw a fit. It's just not working out, and and then and nobody's looking at the fact that, of course, Christian McCaffrey is not going to be able to play a full season probably ever again. He stays hurt, and he's probably 75% of their offense. So without him there, even with Teddy Bridgewater, when they lost McCaffrey, then that took away most of their offense. So I don't know. That experience is not looking good, I think, out of a lot of them, along with the Bears. So
when Matt Rule got that job, when Matt Rule took that job, 2020?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a fan of the signing. He was one of the people that we looked at here multiple times for our jobs. But frankly, with all the shenanigans that went on at Baylor, I wouldn't have touched any of the coaches at Baylor with a 10-foot pole, right? But people tell me I'm a girl and that's a football thing, not a girl thing. And I'm like, no, it's a character thing, but we'll just let all that go for now. So he's in his second year, and I can understand that he's had some quarterback issues and other things. But again, Michelle, to your point, they got Sam Darnold and they went 3-0, and then they lost every week since then. Something's weird there.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that every single coach that we're talking about has one thing in common. They have crappy quarterbacks.
I was about to say no QB.
Well, then let's talk about Mike Zimmer. Because according to the comments in the chat, I need to leave Mike alone.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Let's talk about them.
You put Sarah's comment up there, and she's absolutely right. We have no corners, and our offensive coordinator coaches from a rooftop skybox. Zimmer needs to stay. So I get that. I am not a fan of either your OC or your DC being up top. I want him on the field, and I want someone he trusts up top watching what's going on and talking to him in his headset if there's something that you can – because I prefer to watch a game from high up so you can see everything that's going on in the field. I don't like the TV showing me what I need to see. I want to see what's going on away from the play and everything else. But I want my OC and DC on the sideline. So the fact that he's not makes me crazy. But our buddy John says, Mr. Zimmer is a good man. He was a very good DC. It is time to bring in someone new with an innovative approach to the game. And that's where I'm at. I don't feel like Zimmer's bringing anything new. Everybody loved him when he was with the Bengals and he was dropping F-bombs on Hard Knocks. So that's when we all got to know who he was. We couldn't wait to see what he would do when he got a job. And the first couple of years, I felt like he lit it up in Minnesota. And now I just feel like he's stale. He's stale. And he's the only one who's got a legit quarterback. Whether you love or hate Kirk Cousins, he's a solid quarterback. He can win games. Right?
Yeah.
All the ones we're talking about.
Yep.
So I think a good innovation issue.
To quote Liz Robbins on Twitter, he has those pretty stats. Kirk Cousins, he plays good between the 20s, and then he's a great fantasy quarterback as well.
He is, because he gets his,
but he doesn't show up all the time, and I think that's his biggest problem is that he's not Kirk Cousins every game, and you don't know which game he's not going to be Kirk Cousins, and usually when he's not, that's the game that they need the most, and I think that's his biggest issue. I mean, he can play, he can throw, but he just you just know it's going to be about 3 or 4 games where he's not going to show up, and you don't have absolutely no reason. You don't know why.
Well, and I'm looking at the Vikings schedule, and again, I'm not picking on him or anything, and not because our friend John and Sarah are here, but legit of the teams that have a meh record, this is the one that just puzzles me. Zimmer was a defensive coordinator. They lost to the Bengals in overtime. They lost to the Cardinals, but like everybody's losing to the Cardinals.
Right.
They lost to my Browns. They barely beat Detroit. And then they beat the Panthers, which was nice. They got beat by the Cowboys, which I know Michelle said is a thing, but all of these games are like within 3 or 4 points. I feel like if your offense is going to be putting up 15 to 20 points, your defense has got to hold teams under 14. You've got to hold them, that they're letting them put up 20, 30 points. And when your head coach is a DC, I expect a better defensive performance as a whole when your head coach comes from that side of the ball, or at least more focus on that. Maybe it's just me being me, but I expect their defense to be better.
Yeah, I think that's what's the most disappointing about them is that in the last 4 years or the last 3 years, their defense was probably the top, and then their defense has declined every year. The defense, it continues to decline, but Kate, the 20 to 25 points is kind of the average now in the NFL, whereas it used to be 10 to 15 because there's so much offense. The rules are made for scoring. It's hard to play defense. So, if your team is giving up 20, 25, that's low scoring. Your offense has to put up, those same type of numbers. And sometimes they're not doing that, which you can't see why, because they have the receivers. They have a great running game. I mean, everything is there. I think that the defense, to your point, and with Zimmer being the defensive guy, that defense has slipped some in the last 3 years.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm old. In my head, 21 was always my magic number.
Yeah.
If you can keep them below 21 points, you can win a game. Because you should be able to put up more than 21. Right. And you're right. That number is probably closer to 26, 27 now than 21. See, now for next week's podcast, I'm going to go through and look at all the games far through 7. It'll be through 8 weeks. And I'm going to chart, and we'll see what that new magic number is. I'll do the math. I'll do the math.
It's probably like you can probably go up about 4 or 5 points from 21. Yep.
Yeah. I'm telling you, girls, from a fantasy football perspective, this bye weeks are killing me. I don't know how I won my game in our league this week. I started Sam Darnold. And left Josh Allen on my bench because I forgot to put him back in after he was on a bye. Because I saw that they were playing. I'm like, I don't have to change it. And I forgot that I had taken him out. Luckily, I still won because the person I was playing's team is crap. But
you must have been playing me. You must have been playing me.
She wasn't in our league because I have Josh Allen in our league, so I know she was in our league.
Well, Patrick,
maybe my other league. Anyway,
me, so.
I don't know what it is about this year. But every Tuesday I go in to check my lineup and I look to see who's on a bye, and it's like my one tight end. Like I have no depth at tight end on any of my 3 teams.
I have
no depth at quarterback. It's like, what was I thinking?
I'm trading. Go look at my lineup. See who you want. Want Devontae Parker? I'll give you Devontae Parker. Oh, no, wait. I got rid of him.
I'm holding on to him in one of my other leagues, Lisa. I'm hoping at some point these 14 and 15 points they project every week that he'll actually get that many plays.
So I put out there a dark horse coach that's on the hot seat that everybody's kind of underlooking. The majority of everybody that I kind of talked to said Frank Wright from the Colts. Interesting. That's a great one too.
Because I picked them to win the division, and they're disappointing me. But that's a Carson Wentz thing.
But you know what? Now that Derrick Henry's out, if the Titans slide back,
that might turn that.
That may save his job because that may turn that whole season around for the Colts.
Wasn't there center out for a while too?
Yeah.
Quentin Enzo. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, they've had some issues.
They've had some injury issues, but who hasn't, right?
See, here, I want to put up something John just put up for Patrick Mahomes. See, now listen, John, I want to say something to you on this. We would never, ever even know about Patrick's brother or his girlfriend if social media wasn't around and showed us his girlfriend and his brother's antics 1 million times on TikTok, once again. Yeah, I
them because they annoy me.
I still haven't seen it because I don't have all those things. I'm so great. I'm so happy.
No, but it's
right. If you don't act a fool, there's nothing for the media to put out there.
What happened?
A lot.
I'll tell you
what happened. Yeah. I'll tell you what happened because of the youth. They retired Sean Taylor's number. Well, apparently the Washington Redskins executive who did this his number was on the sidelines. So he put Patrick Mahomes' brother, girlfriend, even Kelsey was in there on top of Sean's number. Well, his brother goes and starts doing some crazy dances on the number, and people lost it because he was dancing on Sean Taylor's number.
Right.
Which was disrespectful. They shouldn't even have been in there. But once again, the Redskins, how they rushed all that for the PR thing anyway. It wasn't about Sean. That day wasn't about Sean. It was about hiding all that crap that they were trying to do, and they just dropped the ball. So he put up a picture. I think it was TikTok, and like 1 million people picked up on it.
So what? And then they're tweeting stuff and just mouthing off to fans and engaging in fans. I thought we learned our lesson from the NBA, was Steph Curry's baby mama or his wife, and then one of the Atlanta Hawks' sister. One of the Atlanta Hawks' sister used to get into it all the time with like Cavs fans and Bulls fans on Twitter and stuff. And it was like, I can't think of her name. Felicia? Because there were "Bye Felicia" memes everywhere. That was a whole thing back in the early 200 and teens, whatever those years were.
Yeah, am I there?
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know. Don't feed the trolls, people. I had someone just tweeted at me and whipped a tweet out from January of 2019 where I made some remark about how happy I was with the OBJ trade, and he tagged it from the tweets that didn't age well department, and I'm just like, dude.
Oh my!
None of us have.
Wow, I'm like, wow, you had to go searching for that one. Good job.
Right? I mean, they do. They come back.
What do you want me to say?
And like I said, I've been good. I've kept out of the Dolphins mess. I'm not engaging in fans because some of these fans are brutal, man.
There have been times, Lisa, where I've seen people say some rude, nasty things, and they tag you and a bunch of other people in the tweet, and then there's a tweet from Lisa. Please remove me from this. I don't think people realize that when you reply to it, here is a lesson for today. When you reply to a tweet, down at the bottom, you can see who all is on it, and you can uncheck people. You don't have to reply to all 50 people that are on the tweet.
No, you don't. You can delete
that all the time.
It's okay.
Especially when somebody's being an idiot. And I'm like, I'm gonna remove the other people because they don't want to be a part of this.
They don't want to be a part of this.
But let me just tell you something.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
I love you, Michelle.
So do you want to brag about your Cowboys for just a minute? Talk a little bit about Dakota. We got a few minutes left.
I don't brag because this is not anything. They haven't done anything. I'm one of those hard fans. We haven't done anything yet, so we haven't won a division.
Well,
we
in this room, you're winning games. That's something the other three of us.
So there you go.
That's all. And I'm happy for each week. So each week I'll celebrate one at a time. I'm just again, Dana and I are the defensive people. So
yes,
and
well, you'll have Dak back, and you're not going to have to face Von Miller because he's gone. Because you were playing the Broncos this week,
right? You guys know that since I've been a part of the crew, defense is what I've talked about for the Cowboys. The offense has been there. The defense has been the problem, and the defense is what I'm most proud of. Finally, Jerry drafted defensive players. Been asking for that for a while. And Michael Parsons and Diggs are doing their thing. But this is the thing. This is the person that's going to need more play, and that's going to be Randy Gregory. And if you watched the game the other night, he was all over Kirk Cousins. Whether he got there or not, he affected so many of the plays, and he's been like that all season. And you're talking about someone who was drafted and has had so many problems, getting suspended every year. The comeback, he has to be the comeback player of the year with the way he's playing and the things that he's been able to overcome. And hopefully, and if he can make it through the whole season. And now, if you look at the Cowboys defensive line, they've been playing well, but we don't even have who's supposed to be our best player yet, and that's DeMarcus Lawrence. So he hasn't even been playing. So he's coming off an injury, and hopefully we'll have him in the next game or two. So I think that the defense can get better. And that's what I'm proud of, because when you go out and win a game without Dakota starting, and we can say Dallas couldn't win many games without Dakota last year, but remember when Tony Romo went down and we couldn't win a game, not one? And it wasn't until we got Dak that when Romo went down after his great season and Dakota came in and won those 10 games or however many, and that's how he got the job. But now you have Cooper Rush, who there's not a Cowboy fan around that can tell you had any confidence in him being able to play well in that game. But when I saw the defense, we know that he has weapons around him and he didn't need to do much, but it was the defense.
Yes.
We were going to need the defense to win the game. And that's who showed up for us. And Cooper was able to get the ball to some of the stars and let them do their thing. So,
and big credit to Kellen Moore on that, because I think he put that game plan together perfectly for him, just to do enough to win the game. And he did. He delivered when he had to. He delivered,
and he stayed aggressive. To Kellen's point, and I was, I was kind of halfway iffy on Kellen Moore with some of the play calls that he used to make in the last 2 years, but he's gotten so much better. You can see that he's learned a lot more. He was young, but he got aggressive at the end when we could have just run the ball and ran out the clock. Zeke was running well, but he still let him go in there and threw that thing, and I liked it. I'm like, I love it. Stay aggressive, win the game. Don't put it in him.
You hear his name. His name's being mentioned right around with Brian DeBall from the Bills. I mean, anytime you get efficient offenses, you'll start hearing the rumblings of But like you said, when we talked about Zimmer, we talk about and Brian Flores has got all these defensive coach minded. You come in and a head coach is a whole different animal than just being a defensive coordinator, and I think they learned that pretty quick. That it's a little. Sometimes they take off a little bit. They bite off a little bit more than they do. Of trying to do too much.
And I think the biggest compliment for Kellen Moore, or the biggest thing for me coming into the season, was when we hired Mike McCarthy, who is an offensive play caller, because that's what he does. Yep. But he wanted to retain Kellen Moore, and he wanted to allow Kellen Moore to call those plays. So that means that he saw something there in the young talent. to allow him to do that, because this is a head coach. This is what he does.
He's been there.
Yep.
He's been there. And that was one of the things that everybody was, when the Dolphins were looking, I was like, why can't we look at Mike McCarthy? I mean, you look at the guy's resume, he's made the playoffs like 11 times in like 15 years of coaching. He's made the playoffs 11 times.
And I still wasn't one of his biggest fans, because he just makes some calls that just baffles me. And he used to do that same thing in Green Bay. So it's not like I'm just seeing this in Dallas. I actually watched him do this with the Packers. And you're like,
especially time management. Holy cow.
Yeah.
He's on a different planet with time management.
He just reminds me of Andy Reid in a way, that same era, that same kind of guy. And Andy found a second life in Kansas City, and he's doing just fine. So I thought McCarthy would have had more offers coming his way than he did. I like, what he's doing in Dallas, and that he's letting Moore do the play calling and mentoring him and showing him so that he can grow. And it's going to ultimately, I think, help his coaching career, the amount of leeway and autonomy that McCarthy's given him there.
Yep.
I
keep forgetting Sonia's here because she had to turn her camera off because she got crappy Wi-Fi.
I don't know what happened. What?
I figured your Wi-Fi cut off. You didn't feed the squirrel, and it's not spinning the wheel anymore, so it just shut your camera off. Because every once in a while, I hear you talk.
Yeah, we just see your name in the black box.
Name in a big black box.
But it's okay. Do you have anything you want to talk about, Sonia?
I think we've covered it all.
All right.
She's out here. She's like, look. You have a bye this week, Sonia?
Yeah, we just might even lose that somehow.
There'll be memes out there on Thursday about the Lions or the bye week is favored by 3 points in Vegas over the Lions.
Right?
You know that's coming. Coming, Kate.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys got the Broncos. Kate, you got the Bengals, who lost to the Jets.
Yeah.
And the Jets. Mike White, my Pembroke Pine fella from down here, Mike White.
If we hadn't stunk up the field so bad against Pittsburgh this week, I'd feel better. And here's the best part. We have the Bengals, and then we have a bye week, and then we have the Bengals.
Oh, a Bengals. Nice.
Because the NFL hates the AFC North, and they scheduled all of our division games like that. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's how the Cowboys played the Washington this year. We played the Washington, we play a team, and then we play Washington. I'm like, why are these games so close like that? That's dumb.
Yeah, the nice thing for us is it's a 4-hour car ride. So it's not like they got to fly or any of that business. And I thought they were going to I wish at some point, we're going to run long now because now I'm going to get on my soapbox. At some point, the bye week, you need to have a Thursday game. Then you need to travel to London for your London game 12 days later. Then you need to have a bye week the week after that. So that way you don't have to deal with as much of the travel fatigue. I don't know how they can't figure that out on a schedule. I can do it on a spreadsheet.
We're on the same page with that, Kate. I say the same thing. First of all, you guys know that I hate Thursday games, period. So
I do too.
I don't think they should be a part of the NFL.
They've actually been good this year, though. In previous years, Thursday was a dog.
It's not that the games are good. I think it's too early for them to play.
Yeah.
And then I forget that they even played a game on Thursday. I'm looking for those teams on Sunday. Like, that's 2 days in between. That's too many days in between when our season is on Sunday. So I hate Thursday games. So I wish they would just get rid of them. I think it is part of why there are so many more injuries, because they're playing too quickly. And you need to give those bodies enough time to heal. So I don't like the Thursday game.
All right. That's the other thing I'm going to go look up and see if any of these injuries happen to players after a Thursday week.
I love Thursday games because I love Monday Night Football. And then Tuesday when I'm sitting at work with nothing, I go, all right, 2 days. I got NFL football again. I love the Thursday night games.
I hate it because I forget. And then I kept looking like, what? Why isn't such and such playing? Oh, hell.
They played on Thursday.
Oh, they played in the
fantasy lineup on Thursday. At least with Thursday, if you forget, you got time on Friday to pick up somebody before Sunday. Usually. Depends on your league settings. I play in one league where the entire roster is locked the minute the Thursday game kicks off.
See?
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that.
And that's some bull crap. And I also think, we're going to go way late. I also think you should be able to change your lineups at halftime. Because if I'm supposed to be a mock general manager and I get somebody gets hurt in the first half, I want to put someone in for the second half and get second half stats.
I agree.
Oh,
I also
my
think that
God.
you should be able to at least like maybe at the end switch. Like if somebody on your bench did really, really great, just switch. But just once.
That should be a league setting. That if you can have an option for a defensive player, I want an option where you can pick one bench player and swap them out with whoever. Just
Agreed.
one. It's like a mulligan, only a fantasy football mulligan.
I
Yeah.
think
Maybe
you
we
should only be able to do that if your player
create our
got
own
injured.
fantasy league and have that on there and see how many people. We should do that. We'll have
do
our
that.
own fantasy league. We'll have a new fantasy league where
Let's
you
start
can
with a
swap
poll
players.
because you know how I love Twitter polls. We should do a poll. Would you join a fantasy league that had this as a rule? And we'll do the football mulligan rule.
But
there
I
you
think
go.
you can only do it if your player gets injured.
Oh.
Yes, if your player gets injured and has
And
to
it's
leave
ruled
the
out.
game,
You should be able to
Then-
put a backup
then
in.
you should be able to
Yes.
put a backup in. That maybe that's how you set your roster. You set all your roster and then you put a backup in each position
Right.
so that if your
somebody's
player gets injured,
Yes.
all
player
their
in.
stats go to 0 and you get this guy's stats. He was your backup in case of injury.
Yeah,
I love
like
that idea.
That's not
I
a bad
love that
idea.
idea. With all the
I love
injuries
it.
going on in the
That's-
league right now,
yeah.
genius.
If your player's injured, you should be able to put your backup in, and then we go.
There you go.
Because I needed one. Jameis was
My
quarterback.
defensive player is Chandler Jones from the Cardinals. So,
I rotate mine.
oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just keep dropping him and adding a new one. I can't find anybody I like.
I was about to say I drop him, and I don't know.
I drop him
don't even
and
know
pick
who
up
my
somebody
defensive
else.
back is.
Apparently that and tight ends. Although I just sent Dana a trade offer. She's got Kirk Cousins, so I just offered her Joe Burrow for Kyle Pitts.
Well, I gotta go look at
She
Sonia's
might
because I
have
need
to
a good
think
tight
about that.
end.
I know she loves Kyle Pitts. She might have to think about that one.
She might.
I kept Dakota.
I mean, I don't
Dakota
have
be
a
my
great
starter.
roster.
He's had his
Don't.
bye week.
You got
So I
Dakota.
offered her. I kept Dakota. He's had his bye week. He's good for the rest of the year. I threw up Joe Burrow to her. Joe's got better stats than Kirk Cousins this year.
Now that's something. See, I
Dana,
told
she
you.
gonna
You
have to
never
think
know
about
when
it.
Kurt's gonna show up.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Hey.
So
All
I
right,
got-
guys. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Michelle and I already talked about the Hurricanes finding their quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke. Yep. So we'll just throw that out there.
Dang it. Why is my
Oh, look.
computer screen
Sonia's
gotta
coming up
be
too.
black?
You just can't see her. Since her Wolverines choked. But we'll.
Y'all
That's a
don't
whole different other story. So anyway, but thank you, Sonia. Can't see you. She's probably flicking me off right now.
Oh, she is.
stop.
I really
I wanna
wanted my
thank you,
Buckeyes
John,
to hand
Sarah.
them their first loss. But
Thank you
okay.
so much for joining us, John. Always a pleasure having you. And Sarah, thank
Hi,
you so
Sarah.
much.
Bye.
So, and Michelle, thank you so
Michelle,
much.
thank you as always.
Thank
You
you
are our
guys for
go-to.
inviting me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you all. So you guys have a good night and good luck this weekend.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye. We lost Sonia.